Hello, everybody. I am Hernan, and I am the founder and chief volunteer for Apprentice Worldwide, a global career development network that is prepared and made specifically to support the next generation of leaders. And we have a few here today that are joining us, and they're going to interview actually two experienced executives in the industry. And I'm so happy to bring them together. One, because I hang out with them all the time. One of them is my brother Javier, which is joining us, and also my cousin, actually my wife's cousin, but I call him my cousin because we know each other 26 years already. So I know him a long time. He went to my wedding, and I'm celebrating 25 years next month. Amazing. And anyway, it's not about me. It's about the film and entertainment industry. So we do these industry events and activities every other month. Of course, not all of them are film related, but we do focus on the career development of these individuals, regardless of their industry. We want to make sure that they are fully supported with the skill sets that they need to succeed. Some of them are technical skill sets, which I am not an expert in film and entertainment, although I consume that every week, actually on a daily basis, but I am not in that industry. And I have seen both Javier and Alan as they began their steps as young professionals and young adults themselves. So I guess today I wanted to start with that. I wanted for them to share how they started in the business and a little bit about themselves, and then we'll go into some of the projects. And then then later on, we're going to ask them, some of the hiccups, things that they probably learned along the way, but some of the hopes and dreams that they still have and that they're trying to accomplish to serve as examples to all of you. Is that fair? Excelente. All right, let's start with Alan because he starts with an A. And Alan, I know Alan is in California. You probably recognize him from some famous series like the Gilmore Girls. I don't know if you guys are a fan of the Gilmore Girls, but Alan was a character there. But I don't want to steal his thunder. Alan, introduce yourself and talk about how you started in this career and maybe a little how you got into these projects. So, dale.
Okay. All right. Thanks for having me, guys. And Primo, it's good to have you here. And I really appreciate this. I do think it feeds my soul personally, and I feel like it does with Hernan also to kind of give back to people and not hold in all the things you learned and the secrets of how you got there, because everybody's experience is their own, and it's not really a competition. But people tend to think that way about knowledge, and I think we should give knowledge to everybody and keep striving as a world. So I'm glad to be here to do stuff like that. How I got started was I've always been into theater and acting, and my family, my parents, they met in Los Angeles. I'm first generation, and they both met out here. And just by location, we started, we were near Hollywood the whole time. Nobody in my family was in it, but like everybody, there were three boys. We grew up watching everything. They threw, Betamax tapes. Oh boy, I'm aging myself. All the tapes at us to watch everything. And, and we were boys, and we were into swords and, wizards and, comic books and all the superhero stuff. And, we were boys being boys, and we had Universal Studios in the backyard. And at one point, my parents did get us a season pass to Universal Studios, and we would go there whenever we had a free time, basically finding another pacifier for the three boys. My mom would take us over there, and I would learn everything about all the camera tricks and all of that stuff. And early on, I was learning behind the scenes makings of. I was obsessed with that stuff. Michael Jackson's Thriller, the making of, I'm sure everybody saw that. That was on repeat, in my house when we were kids. So just kind of understanding the we're now making believe, and we could actually create these things to make believe. And my older brothers were very creative also, and we would come back from going to like Disneyland, and they would make like the ride of like, you know, Peter Pan and like my wagon. And that was kind of like the beginning of like the creative brain of like, oh, we could do this. This is, you know, this is inspiring me. This is what I like paying attention to. And then we started getting into plays, and you know, to not take too much time, but we grew up in Saudi Arabia for a short period, for about 7 years, actually, long period of time, and learned theater there because there were a lot of British people there and they brought the theater with them. So actually getting on stage and trying it started when I was 5 years old. So that was kind of the beginning of, oh, I could pretend to be the person. This is how you make the scene to play in. And theater and the makings of have always just kind of been swirling in my brain the whole time. Then cut to high school and started doing acting competitions in high school, and started winning those and realizing, oh, I might be better at this than I thought, or, you know, I was giving myself credit for. Or growing up in Los Angeles, it's very saturated with actors everywhere. All the restaurants, all the waiters are actors, you know, out of work actors. It's just the way it is in Los Angeles. And you grow up knowing that. So in the back of my mind, I was thinking, okay, this is a very saturated world, but I'm winning all of these competitions, and I'm feeling confident in understanding the text, you know, and which is kind of the main thing for, I think, you know, making any sort of project when you're getting involved with this kind of work, is like really understanding the material. And if you really could understand it and get behind it, you could improvise, you could try things, you could build upon it. If you're just guessing it, you know, if you're just thinly understanding it, you're not really going to get to the root of it. So I feel like, you know, all of those things started kind of connecting in high school with me, with these competitions. And a bunch of my friends started, you know, as we were getting close to graduating, they started talking about Cal Arts, which is a very good art school for theater. And my realistic brain was thinking, you know, that's a tough competition, tough world to get into. Maybe take a year off and go to film school. Make some films, get some more things together to apply for film school. And then they pushed me to audition. We all got in from my one high school, which was very difficult. That was a testament to my drama teacher. She was very good. And we all got in, and I'm the only one of the four that stayed the whole 4 years and graduated, and then started acting and started doing pilots. And I did a pilot for Fox. I did a pilot for Warner Brothers. Pretty much straight out the gate. I looked very young for my age. I looked 15 when I was 22. So I was getting all these high school roles and things like that. And I got those agents through that school. So that was kind of my jump start, was Cal Arts. And I know like a lot of people aren't going to be coming from that sort of experience, and I'll talk on that later on. But mine specifically was really understanding the experience I was getting from, oh, I'm going to this art school that really is focused on trying to make it after school in the industry. And, you know, keeping those connections, those are, you know, they have helped me 100%. They definitely launched me. Those people weren't always the ones that got me the things later on in life, but some of the earliest things that I did get was through relationships that I was meeting at that school specifically. But relationships is a big thing. And also taking every opportunity that you get as serious as possible. And, you know, and as treating it as an opportunity that could work for you. But obviously, you know, you can't fall completely in love with things. This industry is full of rejection. You got to get used to that. You know, if you're not used to that, it will break you, especially in the acting world. It is tough. But know that, treat everything as the next potential opportunity, and, you know, and work through those things. But before getting into all of that, it's kind of how I got started. I didn't want to wait tables as I was acting and auditioning. So I had always kind of put it out there in the world. And this is kind of my first piece of advice is put it out there in the world that you are going to be doing this. You want to be doing this. This is what you are, even if you're not there yet, you know, the faking it till you make it, just putting it out there constantly, so that people remember, oh, so-and-so, they were always talking about making video. Do they make videos? Because now our company needs something or whatever it is. And they look you up and there it is, because you were constantly reminding them of that. So my friend, she got me a PA job at a production company, which ended up being maybe the best connection to get me started in my production life and kind of my understanding of commercial production. I got a job being an assistant in the office, doing anything that they wanted, and learning every department. That was the first time I had worked at a production company, knew how they worked. Oh, this is accounting. Okay, these are all the boring forms, which are basically one of the biggest barriers to anyone getting in this industry. Is like, oh, they think about the glamour and the all the beauty and all the, you know, all the fun stuff, and then they get to, oh, unions and payroll and and labor laws and all these things that people are like, and they run for the hills and they don't end up doing it, you know. So, but for me, as an actor, I didn't want to be like categorized or kind of always thought of as being a dumb actor. You know, maybe my brother said that a little too much to, you know, to in the back of my brain to be like, no, you're going to learn more and pay attention. And I just started sponging everything at that one first job. And then it led to, I was booking roles and didn't have to work in production for a short period of time. And then I'd run out of acting money and come crawling back and try to do that. I really want the acting to take off the most. It's the most fun. If you guys have been on set, or if you guys can, you know, stretch your imagination a little bit, you'd understand why it's probably the most fun on set to be an actor. But at the same time, there's so many more rewards in different departments and producing as a whole, you know, the whole big picture. If you're a creative, if you like being around creatives, it's really rewarding. Knowing that, like, you know, I think that person and this script and these ideas together would probably be magic. And then when it happens, that was you. And, you know, and that's super rewarding. So you don't have to necessarily be the director every time, or be the director period, or the writer. You just you have to be aware of what's out there and be inspired by things, and try to be aware of what people are being inspired by and what moves people. That's kind of a long intro.
No, great.
Yeah.
Great. And I do want to go back to a few things that you mentioned, particularly you said your brother, right? And your family.
Yeah.
I know, totally different, right? And we'll talk about that. Javier, same thing, totally different from your families. And maybe Javier, you can just start with you a little bit, where you came from, what you're doing, and I mean what you started doing at 20, 19.
Well,
20.
I mean, just to jump off really quick on that ending thing, you know, my brother, I've made 3 films and 1 TV series. He still thinks I'm never gonna make it. So I just there's no winning there, you know. And I'm not talking about it now. I'm talking about another brother. Don't worry. You've been great. So yeah. So all right. So go. If I'll introduce myself really quick and go through a few things that, you know, going off of Alan, what he was saying. I usually tell people 3 things. One, no 2 paths are alike in this industry. There's just no way. I mean, you have to carve your own path. You can't say, well, this person did this, I'm going to do that. You can try, but it's never going to be the same. The second thing is, like, no 2 success are the same. You could be, you know, if you get into this industry thinking you're going to be the next Tarantino, you're going to be the next Spielberg, it's going to eat you up alive, and you're going to stress yourself, and it's going to be depressing. And then the third thing, and this is all stuff you've mentioned, Alan, is rejection is going to be as common as waking up in the morning. You're gonna get way more rejections. I think of it as baseball. Like if you're hitting 200, 298, that's amazing in baseball terms. If you're hitting 300, that doesn't mean you're hitting more hits than anything, and you're going to have a lot more rejection than approval. So those are the three things that I tell people going in. It's like, to understand that this industry can eat you up and spit you out if you let it. Just can't let it happen. I started. I like to tell people that I started liking film when I was in bassinet. That my mom used to take me to the movie theaters, put me next to her, and just watch movies while she was watching the movie. So I like to think that that's when it started. But I know I wanted to do movies since I was in 4th grade, and I remember writing a script. It was terrible. I think I still have it. And I convinced people in my class to stay during recess to rehearse this god awful script, because I wanted to. At that point, I wanted to shoot it. I wanted to direct it. It never happened. We stayed up a couple of times, but after that, it never happened. But I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in this industry, so I kept writing. I thought I wanted to be a director the whole time. Went through high school. I went into acting because I wanted to know the other side of that. But I was always more on the behind the camera. I can't stand watching myself on camera, even though I've done cameos in all my films and series. I hate being in front of camera. So I knew my trajectory was I wanted to be a writer director. So in high school I had an option. I grew up in Puerto Rico, so going to LA was a little bit of a problematic for me in terms of price and being so far away from my family. So I was looking around, and I ended up at the University of Central Florida, UCF. This was back in 1996. I started the film school in 1999, which happens to be the year that the Blair Witch Project comes out and becomes this huge phenomenon. And those guys were from UCF. So I'm like, I'm perfect. I'm in the right place at the right time. I started learning from the professors there, who were great. And as I was going through the process, I realized I wasn't into directing. I just did not like it. It wasn't clicking for me. The writing always clicked. I still wanted to be creative. I wanted to create original stories, but I found myself a little niche in terms of, like, people wanted me to edit their films and their shorts and everything. So I slowly, I kept going into edit base at 11 p.m. at night or during the weekends, because that, we couldn't do it during school hours. And I became the class editor if they wanted to do it. So that's kind of where I kind of made my trajectory at first in terms of the production. And I ended up getting a job at Universal Studios Florida, the production group in Florida, and worked behind the scenes a lot, doing music videos, commercials, and there were a couple of pilots, a couple of films that went and shot there. But I was doing PA. I was paying my dues. I was getting the coffee. I was the last one, the first one in, the last one to go. The messy work, which unfortunately we all go through it. We all have to get the coffee. We all have to do the grunt work. But again, whenever I got that opportunity to edit in the production group, I jumped in because I wanted to do editing, and that's one of the things. You got to keep what you want to do. You got to keep at it, even if you're doing something else, because if not, you kind of just pigeonhole yourself into something, and then you never move forward. And then all of a sudden I got a call from a friend of mine from film school who said, hey, look, they're looking for a position in the editing department on the film The Punisher with John Travolta and Thomas Jane, was shot in Tampa. And I was living in Orlando at the time. And, my wife and I, we had no kids, so it was a little easier to say, all right, look, I'm going to leave you for about 3.5 months to go shoot this thing, to help in the editing department. And that's, you know, there I just started making the connections that I needed to kind of continue to move forward. I worked on that film in Tampa and in LA. From there, you know, things happened where they invited me to come back. Some jobs I was able to take, some jobs I couldn't take. You know, you kind of have to make the decision based on family and where you are in life. But I was able to then slowly, while I was working in these projects, to set you know, do the stepping stones for my own projects. So I kept writing. I kept talking to my friends, to people who wanted to do production, and slowly but surely we decided, okay, we want to make films, and it wasn't until I think it was 2012, after I had worked in Rock of Ages down here in Miami, in the editing department, where I was like, okay, I need to make my own film. That's what I've always wanted to do, and that's my goal. So we decided, you know what, we're just gonna do a Kickstarter. We did a crowdfunding, and and it took everything in our power, myself and the director of the film, to get this money. Like, I mean, it was late nights, it was daily posting on social media, it was calling, it was emailing. It was basically the worst 30 days or 40 days of our lives, because it was nonstop. Like, if for a minute we decided to take it easy, we would lose an opportunity to get $10 from this person, $20 from this person. And I know most likely we made a lot of enemies asking for money, but we ended up getting the funding, and that in a sense started my producer career. You know, obviously I helped edit the film, I wrote the film, and like I said, I did a little cameo in it. So when that film was released, we finished in 2015, but it was recently, maybe like about three and a half years ago, released and streaming. So, and from then on, I got a couple projects going on now. Well, I'm sure we'll discuss a little further on. But yeah, so I've done editing commercials, I've done editing movies, I've done editing music videos, everything I can, and I've written commercials, and I've written 30-minute medical shows, which I had no idea I could do. But you know what? Someone said, "Hey, you want to do it?" And I said, "Yes." And so that's it. If you want to do it, yes. That's kind of how I do it. Obviously, you can't stretch yourself too thin, but if there's an opportunity to do what you want to do, jump on it. Because you know, even in the worst possible situations, you know, if what you're doing is what you love, it'll never seem like a day of work. So
yeah. So amazing. I literally have to take my hat off. Well, right now I need a comb, but I take my hat off to you guys, because what I realized, and I'm a creative as well, as you guys know, right? I do a lot of creative stuff within my own realm, but as a banker in finance, you wouldn't think of that goes together. When in reality is I have my passions outside of work, right? And you guys, I know you had your passion, but you always stayed the course, right? And sometimes you took jobs that you didn't like, right? Or still do jobs that you don't necessarily like, but that is what made you successful from what I see. I mean, I learned so much from you guys, and you guys are successful, right? You guys work for some of the top production companies, film companies. You work with great casts. You know some of the top artists in the industry. So tell me about that world. You know, what a glamorous world, but in the background, tell me, you know, some dirt about the not so easy part, right? Maybe Alan, you that are behind the scenes, what do you see that you're like, oh my God?
I think, well, in terms of like, you know, for taking something away from, you know, from this meeting with you guys and whatnot, I think it's just, you know, the idea that it isn't as glamorous as the end goal, which is you're at the party, everybody's watching it, you're having drinks, everyone's dressed nice, and everyone's patting you on the back, and that's great. Or, you know, you're on Instagram and people saw a post of the thing and they're responding there, and there's something really nice about that. But, you know, in the end, we're constantly making something that looks nice in a frame, and everything outside of that is just a mess. It's just a circus, you know. If there's a lot of things that are happening, you know, clearly there's going to be more productions that are, you know, organized and whatnot. But for the most part, we're just worried about making this look good, just whatever's in that square. And so I don't know. I think when I was hearing you talk about, you know, being a PA and getting the coffee, Javier, and all of that, I think that to me was also my way in to listen to the conversations that are happening. And just like what we were talking about with like the jobs that you don't necessarily like and all of these things, or, you know, it's not the main goal of, oh, I've always wanted to make, you know, industrial videos for, you know, a medical company. Like, that's nobody's goal, really. I don't think so. And I would hope nobody here wants that. No offense. Just kidding. But like, you know, you're on that job, you're learning something there. Oh, lighting in this kind of environment looks like this. Oh, when people who aren't actors need to read some copy, you know, in front of camera, how much time do they realistically need? And you're not going to learn these things from film school even. You're not going to learn it from film school even. It's just a matter of jumping into every single job and paying attention, really paying attention, not just kind of floating, really being actively paying attention to why are we taking so long to reset the lights here? All of the lights need to come over to this side. You know, we're shooting coverage of this actor, and, you know, it's two actors talking to each other, and one actor is this way, and the camera and all the lights are all set up for this. And then they have to break it all down and get rid of it, because now we have to turn all the way around and have a clean background for the other side in it. And, you know, if that's the way they designed the production that day, it's going to take a long time for that. And I remember being an actor on set one day where I was hanging out with a bunch of the other actors, and they were like, why is this taking forever? And they weren't paying attention to anything. They were just like, you know, fixing their clothes and talking about dumb stuff and whatever it was. And I was like, oh, it's because that huge lighting crane has to move and get the hell out of the way, and all of that shit has to go. You know, that was kind of, you know, where I was at, where I was like paying attention to those things. And I thought, oh, this is I remember all of those stupid little lessons. They all packed up and they stored into the file. And so when you get to that moment again, or a similar moment again, you don't panic, because there is a lot of panic in these moments in this job. There's a lot of, you know, on the fly things that happen. You could plan and pre-produce everything that you want, and then you know, a curveball comes at you, and you have to figure out how to solve that problem. And, oh, you know, that one time we had that one guy, he just did that one trick with the light, and we're saved for the next few hours. We're good, and we can move on. And those things kind of help with the confidence of all of these hiccups that come up. And I think that's maybe not necessarily the juicy answer that you wanted, but definitely like seeing the bumps and seeing people just kind of hit them and deal with them, and or just, you know, how do they solve something that comes up? Oh, I never would have thought of flickering the lights like that to fake television, or whatever that is, you know, whatever the trick is. So there's that. I'll try to think of a juicy answer for you, or not, about like somebody or something like that, but I try not to.
No, I think you did good. You did good. So
no, I have
some behind the scenes. Go ahead.
I have a few anecdotes that, but yeah, I mean, I always tell in my productions, it's the hurry up and wait. We're the hurry up and wait business. We hurry up. All right, we're gonna do this. All right, now we gotta wait 40 minutes to get all the lighting and everything moved up. So 100%. I'll tell you, I've dealt with executives. I've dealt with UPMs on my first film. This was back in '97. I was only 17. No, I was 18 by the time the production started. The UPM didn't like what cereal was on the table, So he flipped the entire craft service table. We're all standing there, go like, what is going on here? And you deal the problem with our business is there's a lot of ego. There is a lot of ego, and you have to know how to manage that when you gotta first of all lower your ego when it comes to the production. I try to tell that, and everybody knows, everybody in my production knows, I don't let egos get in the way in making a film great. But I mean, I've dealt with it, and like I said, the guy flipping the table was one of those things. I was like, wow, what am I getting myself into? I work with the post-production executive of Warner Brothers, and boy, if she got mad, it was like forget it. You just want to stay away from her. So there are the nightmare people that you will work with, that you got to understand. This person probably got yelled at the same way when they were starting, and there's nothing personal. It's just kind of the way. It's almost like I earned this. So
I do got to say though, I got to jump in on that. Times are changing. They definitely are changing, at least over on our side in LA, where I grew up in a lot of that toxic stuff, and seeing that stuff that he's talking about. I personally hated it. That's not my character, but I did learn to say, oh, that's that guy. He acts like that. Fine. And you can kind of roll with those punches up to a certain point within reason, obviously. And if they're a boss, you can't do anything about that, but don't let it affect you. Fine. But we did get into an opportunity, which was very lucky for us when I was working at BuzzFeed, and I started doing branded content for them. Now, this isn't necessarily the film world. This isn't necessarily the television world. But we were cranking out commercial videos that were, branded BuzzFeed content, where they were getting in trouble in the beginning because they weren't telling people they were ads, but they were like 2-minute ads basically. And it'd be like a product placement kind of video, a fun video in the BuzzFeed style. So we were doing that, and we had the opportunity to be in control of how we wanted those sets to be from then on out. And we were the bosses now. And I was actually one of the older ones with a group of other people. And we were stopping that. We didn't allow that. And there was maybe over 100 people in our Rolodex of cast and crew people that we were using that knew that. And all of those people who are working in Hollywood now, they remembered, oh, BuzzFeed was a breath of fresh air, because it was not that people weren't yelling at each other. And, checking those egos at the door is like so important, I think, moving forward, because there is a lot more of like, there's a lot of the conversations that are happening and the debates that are happening and being sensitive, and all those things are happening all across the board, especially in Hollywood. So like, there's a lot more of that where you just got to be, pay attention and be mindful that I don't know how much of that stuff flies anymore. Javier, when's the last time you've seen something like that happen? Because it's been a while for me.
No. Obviously, I mean, the last time I saw something happen like that in production was about 2014. Because once I'm producing my own films, I don't let that happen. Yeah, and I've had to get rid of a couple people, and we're a small crew, because my films are very low budget. So if someone's getting out of line, I don't have a problem replacing them. This is because what you're mentioning as far as not being the glamour, the long days and everything. At the end of the day, it's like I want everybody who's working in my productions to, when they go see the final product, they've invested themselves in it. If they're there just because they're getting a check, it's never going to be the same than for us who go to the film and go like, oh my God, we put our blood, sweat, and tears into this, and it's just the reward is 10 times better. So if someone comes in with attitude, if I hear anything, I'll stop it right away. So
totally. And I'm much more of like a I'm like an empath. I love people. I love when everyone's getting along, and and when you get like a good company together, it usually happens in theater more than in film. But with films, when you're on set for days and weeks together, you become a little family. And as a producer, if that's what you guys are thinking of getting into, or you're going down that track, if that's like what's on your mind, something that's really that really started showing itself to me is just me putting myself out there in terms of trying to serve everybody as much as possible, which is weird when we're talking about producing and like we're making a movie and this is the movie I'm going to make some money off of. But in the end, if your crew needs a certain timeline to be able to get you the best art on the art department as possible, not last minute things that make them scramble and panic, but like, you actually think through what it is that like the little model maker who's making the tiny trees, how long they need, what stuff they need to do to make that stuff. If you are aware of it and they know you're aware of it, they are going to do way more for you. They're going to appreciate you as opposed to a producer who's just a suit, coming on set and counting the beans. Like that's one kind of person. But like, if you really care about making the art and care about every production, everyone's going to want to do their best for you. And if they see that you are super excited about the material and the work and the actors and the director that are involved, they're going to know, oh, there's something special behind this also. So I try to definitely show to everybody that I'm listening, I'm paying attention. I want them to feel good, because that's what we're doing this for. We're like celebrating painting or shooting something on a camera or lighting something or putting on some clothes, like some wardrobe. Like, I think that's the stuff that we're trying to like just really enjoy and celebrate. And we all know when people do the best of that in the world, it's the biggest IP in the world that we see. When they have all the money and love behind it, it turns into these Marvel things that make billions, or Game of Thrones. And, these are huge projects, but you see how much love and attention and money, but like that does help people, wanting to get up in the morning, they're getting paid, they get up in the morning. I'm working overtime, you're paying my overtime. And yeah, we're all here doing it, but we're all getting paid doing it. So we'll stay a few more hours in the dark cold to make this happen, because it's going to be a cool thing. I always try to keep that energy around it. Otherwise it's work. Why the hell are we here? It's all of that.
Yeah, going on that really quick, if I can just jump really quick, it's funny because also as a producer, the other thing, especially with my productions where they're not studio films, you also have to understand that everybody watches films. So I know that if I'm going to talk to people that are not in the business who also want to help, whether it be a company, stores, or props that I need to get. As a producer making films or making TV shows, a lot of people want to help, and you get that when you go in there, you talk to them, it's like, look, you're going to be a part of this film, and it works. So it's not only the crew, it's also the people that around everything. So yeah,
I agree. That was really fast, just to go off of that.
Yeah.
That is the one cool thing, is like it is kind of a get out of jail free card. You can call anyone if you're making a project with a big enough client, or if you're just saying, I'm making a movie, somebody will listen for an extra 30 seconds to hear what it is that you are asking of them, just because of that. I know like the certain companies I worked at, BuzzFeed was the easiest one. I could call any company to get a tour of any space for the most part, just to see if the location's going to work. And that's very cool and very empowering, but also like, know that that's part of it. And how do you handle that? It's like, okay, just be confident, get in there, make it fun for everybody. Like what Javier is saying is like, people want to be involved with it. So, hey, you could be part of this cool thing too. And we're working on this. Okay, I'll listen to you. Let's have this conversation.
Well, the other one that people listen is, hey, I got some money for you. Usually,
always.
That's usually like, hey, you guys.
yeah.
Well, listen, I want to first acknowledge. So two things that I want to acknowledge. I know you work hard in a lot of different things that are unknown or maybe not known to the general population. But when you work on things that people know, right? You mentioned some big brands like you mentioned the Punisher, Rock of Ages, and you mentioned Gilmore Girls, right? Is this the moment where you're pinching yourself and you're going, "Holy crap, I made it in Hollywood"? How do you guys feel? I know you're proud of your work. I'm proud of you guys, by the way. But is this when do you celebrate it? Like when?
Well, I mean, the making it in Hollywood is again one of those things where that's to the eye of the beholder. My daughter came to me one day and said, "Oh my God, you're famous. My friends think you're famous." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "Yeah, they Googled you and you're all over the place." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm Google famous. That doesn't really count." And with the films, like, when yes, I mean, yeah, okay, I'll brag. Like, I met Tom Cruise, I met John Travolta. They were fantastic people to meet. Never did I think, oh, I'd made it. I mean, I think I knew I made it when I was sitting in a movie theater watching my film, in a theater full of people that weren't family or friends. No offense. And now we had the premiere and it was great, fantastic. But when I sat down with people, I had no idea who they were, and they were watching my films. I was like, okay, I felt like I made it, and this was just a small theater and everything, but it still felt that way. So that's my feeling.
Well, Alan,
Yeah.
I know you. Many women and men fall in love with you every time that they watched Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. Well, my character was kind of mean, so I don't know how many of them, but yes, but there was definitely like an increase in my Instagram when Netflix picked up Gilmore Girls. Before that, it wasn't digitized yet; it was still just on the DVDs. And when it was then, fine. Then it got onto Netflix, and then Instagram was like, I'm not even trying. I wasn't even trying to do Instagram, and it does its own thing. But that wasn't necessarily the first time. I've had a few moments where those were like knee jerk, like, oh my God, this is a big deal. Not necessarily like, oh, I made it, the world knows who I am. Cause like Javier said, like, I'm not that person, it's not that, it's my own wins for myself. The first one was when I booked a pilot, at just a few months out of school. Actually, the very first win was my very first role was a Taft-Hartley with Al Pacino. And I said 4 lines to Al Pacino at Paramount Studios on a big movie. And I still haven't been on a movie that big yet since that day. I've done mostly just television, and I almost threw up. It was great. It was amazing. It was fantastic. That was a big one. But the pilot, I remember when I booked the Fox pilot, I remember where I was, and I literally fell to my knees at that time when I got the call, because it was like, pilots are a big deal. Pilots are, and what's funny is this is like what Javier is saying, or what you were saying, the world doesn't really know this. This was really more for me, but it was a giant deal. So, when you're an actor, if you're not a movie star, how do you become that? And you don't, unless you get some cool cameos in some cool films, or you start getting some TV roles. But even then, when you book a pilot, that's like a series regular role of a series, then you're like potentially gonna be one of the main characters of this show for however many years, if it becomes successful or not, So that's the moment where you're like, I may be the star of a show that goes on for 10 years. And I'm finding out right at that moment that I booked it. So like, that's like kind of the big deal. Plus your rate goes up as an actor when you start testing for television pilots, even if you don't book them, because I have tested for some that I didn't end up acting in. And my rate still would go up incrementally every time I would test, which is kind of cool. But pilots, I'm sure you guys know, but not everybody sees pilots. What networks used to do is make a whole ton of pilots. and then pick like 7 out of like 20 that they would make every year. They probably do something similar to it now. There was always used to be a pilot season in the beginning of the year around February, March. It's still kind of there, but it doesn't really exist anymore that same way because all the streamers and everybody have different release schedules. So they were always doing like the fall TV schedule, you know, kind of thing before. Now that doesn't really matter. So pilots were like the big deal to like, as an actor, an unknown actor, you want to book a pilot because that's what they're using for pilots or unknowns. Now the streamers.
I am going to be the director of the movie that's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. Okay. And you guys have been writers yourselves. So I'm going to ask you guys to see if you guys follow instructions well. Okay. So bear with me. I'm going to ask you two, Javier and Alan, to write down the questions that these people are going to ask, but do not answer them. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Let's see if you guys are good listeners. So we're going to introduce each one of the people that are in the film industry here, starting with the ladies, Camila, Paloma, right? And you're going to introduce yourself, okay? Number one. Number two, what is your dream? Okay. And number three, what question do you have? And you guys are not going to answer. You're just going to write it down. Okay. And then we're going to go to the next person until we finish with the team that's doing film. And then you start answering. All right. Sounds good? Let's do this.
Okay.
And I was bad at homework. So what do you mean?
I know, but I gotta keep you on your toes. So the first potential artist here, Paloma, introduce yourself. What is your dream? And one question. And these guys are gonna write the question down. They're not gonna answer you now. They're gonna answer you after everybody finishes. Ready? Let's go.
Hi, my name is Paloma. My dream is to be an actress and a model. And then my question for you guys would be, what was your initial reaction when you first booked or got the dream job that you wanted or the dream role that you wanted? Like, what was your initial reaction and feeling? And where were you, if you remember?
Okay, so write it down. Paloma, introduce yourself a little more. Where are you located?
I'm from Miami. I'm currently home. It's funny that this call happened right now. I just got back from shooting my first headshots and digitals, which I will get tonight. And it's funny that you said something about Gilmore Girls. I'm currently rewatching that show for the 15th time. So
yeah,
currently a #1 fan. So definitely love that. But
thank you for residuals.
That means you're putting money in his pocket right now, right?
For those
Residuals.
Yeah. For those
replay. And then I also am from a very diverse family, meaning I speak 4 languages. I'm French and Brazilian. So that's a little bit about me. And I've known Hernan my whole life. He's basically my tío. So that's another little plus. Oh, camera.
Well, her dad was my boss, so.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with me.
Well, that's how I know you from where you were born, by the way. So, excellent, Paloma. We'll get back to your question, okay? Camila, introduce yourself. What is your dream and your question?
Thank you so much, Hernan. My name is Camila Padilla. I'm from Colombia, but I'm currently living in Canada. And I'm working also as a global business development manager for a world youth-led organization that is called ISEC. And I've been basically working with them for 9 years already. But I studied audiovisual communication and I've always wanted to be an executive producer. I love production. I love the business side of the film industry. And I really want to work on that regard. And that's why I started my business development career and sales career. But now making that career jump, I have a lot of questions and also a lot of struggles trying to find that path to, okay, connecting my skills and experience to now make that career jump to the film industry. So I would ask you, what would you recommend to someone that is making a career change to the industry, especially in production, or to someone that is starting in the film industry itself for the production side?
Write it down. Excellent. Juan Pablo.
Hi, I'm Juan Pablo. I'm from Mexico City. I'm currently on my last year of film school. I'm studying to be I'd like to be a director, but my dream is really to create worlds. That's what I see film as, a way of creating worlds and creating stories. So that's what's really my dream. And well, maybe watching one of my movies in a theater one day. Or TV shows, whatever. My question would be, I know that the production, filming, and post-production process of TV shows and movies are quite different. And I've been told the big difference, but what are small things that actually make a small differences that actually make a big impact while filming a TV versus a movie?
Excellent. Good job. They'll come back. Okay. Arturo.
Hey, I'm just in the street, so sorry if there's a little noise. My name is Arturo Gonzalez. I'm originally from Mexico, but now I just moved to New York. I'm working here at an independent film production company as a development executive. So basically, it's not a creative job. Like, it's just more like a producer job in a sense that I prepare budgets. We make sure that like everything is ready for filming. We go like to development of film and television, which takes a lot of time. You know, like getting the script ready, putting the story, getting actors, getting directors. You know, producer job. I just started that job. I'm learning a lot about it. And I feel that, you know, my dream job in the industry would be like in a couple of years from now or like 5 years from now, being able to have like my own development company, but you know, instead of like having to look for directors, me directing my own movies. I think that's my dream, to be able to have like a company or something and find a way to finance my own projects and to distribute them and just direct it myself and produce it myself. And I think my question would be, you know, like I had no idea how to get into the industry when I finished college. I was doing economics, and then I did portfolio management, so nothing related to film. Got an internship, and then I got the job here. But like my main question would be like, how would you jump from being like working in independent film production to go to a studio film production? What do you have to do? What kind of connections do you need to have? Or like, how do you think that works? Is it like, I don't know, like I just made a short film myself. Do you think that it's like, do you make the film, you put it to festival, get an agent, and they get like directing jobs? Or like, what kind of process would you need to move from independent film production to commercial film production? I think that's my main question.
Good job. I love these questions. I love it. Last but not least, and by the way, we have others that are members of Apprentice as well that they'll say hi. But I wanted you to know the people that are in film and entertainment. So in production, I still have Alex. Alex is on the phone. He's working. Oh, he made it. Alex, your turn. So introduce yourself. What is your dream? And one question. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Alex Proctor. I'm from Miami, Florida, and I'm a filmmaker here in Miami, Florida. And my dream, well, one of my dreams is really just to be more active in one of my chosen jobs in the business, which is acting. My question to you guys is, how do you wake up every day and master the craft of acting every day? Yeah,
I love it. Great. I know that you want to jump into that, but these people follow instructions. By the way, Alex has a non-for-profit that is film related, teaching younger people to do film as well. So, and he's here in Miami. Super cool. Daniel, who's in production, actually. He does big shows in production. Daniel, you there?
Here we are. Hey, hi everybody. So my name is Daniel Reto, and I'm actually in Puerto Rico right now, and I'm working in the event production company or industry. And I have a interesting question because here in the island, the industry, the event and production film industry is like the same. You see the same people working on events or films, and if you guys would have started like right now, like for example, we go back to when you decided to be filmmakers. So what exactly would you do? Like, what this is what am I gonna do to get into the industry? So yeah. There you go.
Great question. Okay. So we also have, I'm going to introduce them because we're running out of time. So Nalisa, who isn't part of our team, she actually just started in a production company for to help Apprentice Worldwide, which she'll connect later on. Ibrahima, who has a major production company actually, but he does it primarily in technology, and he's in Africa. He is in Ghana, I think. You switch every so often, but yeah, he's in Ghana now. And I think we have, so Shalako's a banker, he funds things. So when you need money, Shalako is the guy. And I think we're missing, who else are we missing? And then Jury Jones. Welcome, Jury Jones. I can't unmute, technical issues, but my dream is to be an actor and out of Chicago, 20. Excellent, Jury. So, who wants to start? Yeah, flip a coin. Javier.
Good, Javier.
Did you write some of these things down?
I did. So,
Okay, go ahead.
well, the simplest one, Arturo, you were saying, how would you jump from independent versus studio? I mean, honestly, they're even though they're different, they're one and the same. It's all about the networking. I mean, you talk about taking it to a film festival. In film festival, you're gonna meet people from studios. You're gonna meet people from the independent scene. You know, all these people. Independent film now is a little different than back in the 1990s. You know, and the Clerks and everything. Independent films can have A-list actors, so you're still in the same vicinity of the people who have worked in the studio. So my suggestion with that is that, you know, just keep networking, and that goes for everybody. All the events, like this event. I just recently, I was supposed to go to AFM in a couple of weeks, but we still haven't finished our post-production on our film. But AFM, if you're in LA, in Miami, they have the Miami Media Film Market. They have NAPTI. They have a bunch of other ones here where you can meet people from the industry local and people from LA, New York, and wherever else. So that's the simplest of the answers for that question.
Me? My turn for the same question. Yeah, and this kind of overlaps with I think a few of you asked kind of like, how do you get into it? How do you get started? Now, for me, this is also kind of like I'm getting into trying to move from commercial world into producing TV and films myself. I was mostly doing just commercial work, broadcast commercial stuff, working with clients and what their scripts are and all of that. That's a different workflow than what Javier is used to doing. But what I do know is that even in my position, I am also going to be starting from hey, I need you to know what it is that I can do and what it is that I want to do. And really, when it comes down to it, if you have nothing else, get good at making books, decks, presentations with your dream cast, with dream art direction, breaking down some scenes out of there. I will try to compile these and connect with Hernan later on to try to have like a list of these later. I'm trying to make them for myself. These are like Bibles. These are basically, if you can't shoot anything, you're just a producer. You have ideas, you have people are visual. Everybody who has money that's going to give you money to make a film are most of the time not creative people. They need to see it. So put an actor's face next to a character description with some beautiful background that you found. Get really creative into making that book of the project that you really, that's your, if that's your baby, pour your love into that. That's something at least that you could show to somebody really fast. It's not a 100-page script that they have to read through. It's something quick and visual, and they could kind of get an idea of what it is that you're working on. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I actually, because a lot of my life is spent doing those, so I would gladly be able to share one for the Love and Hostages, which I did recently. So I don't mind sharing that with the group because we've already done it, but it'll show you. And it's, each pitch deck is different, but they all have to have some of the same information, but the look and feel of it, it depends on the film and the mood. But I do have, if not Love and Hostages, I have a couple other I have one I can share with you guys so you guys can take a look.
And it's kind of like the beginning brain map of this project for you, for everybody. It is kind of the most creative that you as a producer are going to get, in putting this together. There are going to be some left brain nuts and bolts details that you need to get out there, but really the creative stuff is also in there. So this is your opportunity to get into graphic design and understand the type font for this film. You could start it right then when you're making this pitch deck. All of these things that you want to explore, you could start to do it with this. And the better it is, and the less of a template that it looks, and more of a custom beautiful thing that you made, more people will be paying attention to it for sure. That's just scratch. If you have nothing else, that you could start at least with your computer and Keynote or PowerPoint, whatever.
All right, who else do we have to answer questions for?
We have a few questions.
Yeah. Do you want me to keep doing another one?
Keep going, yes.
You know what? I'll do the one for the Puerto Rico thing, Danielle, because obviously I come from Puerto Rico, so I right now I just finished writing a script last year where they're in the process of getting funding, and hopefully production will be shot in Puerto Rico next year. So cross fingers there. We're looking for the same thing, same issues: financing, distribution, everything that has to go into the whole process. Exactly, like what would I do today? You're asking what would do today as opposed to back when we started. I think it's still pretty much the same, even though the medium has changed, the streaming service and TV, TikTok, YouTube, and all that stuff. The finding a place to be able to meet people, work your craft, and be able to learn on a daily basis is key. No matter what job you are, no matter what type of production you do. So for me, if I was doing it right now, I would I still follow the film school. I just kind of liked it. I can't say I would go back to it, but I enjoy the time there. Whether or not it helped me move forward, it did a lot in learning. In terms of did it land me a job? It did not. I landed the job by myself. But it definitely taught me that way. If you don't want to do film school, doing PA work, I think jury asked, do you recommend I become a PA to get my foot in the door? That's the main one. And don't be ashamed to be a PA. Everybody was at a certain point. There's no shame in it. It's a grueling but rewarding experience. So there's that different kind of way. If I can answer your question about why event and film is the same thing, it's the same people that you have, because you need the same thing. You need lighting, you need sound, sometimes you need video, so you're gonna see the same people. it's still the visual medium that we love. Events, TVs, web series, films, even animation. You're gonna need the same things. So that's why you probably see the same amount of people.
Yeah, so here I just finished a certification to work on my producer license. And here in Thailand, you need a license for production event production.
Yeah.
And I just finished, and I've been working since January in different companies as a PA. So it's been awesome. I've been getting a lot of experience. I'm even working at the convention center at San Juan. So it's really good. It's being really good. I've been learning a lot, and basically, it's here in the island. Like film, it's kind of like hard at master's level. There's no university giving that certification, so it's a little bit hard. So that's why I took like events, because I didn't know at first that they were combined or that you could work at both industries, but I learned that you can. So basically, like how do I like connect more? I mean, connect more like outside, maybe, because here we don't have that much of films.
Yeah, I think the thing with Puerto Rico is that a lot of the productions come from the state. So they already have most of the crew coming down, which is where a PA or a grip or everything, it's something that you can do when the films come into, because there's not that many local based productions in terms of film and TV. Well, TV, there's soap operas and some of the shows, but for the film business, the industry, there's not much you can do, because unfortunately, like for example, Fast and Furious came down to shoot in Puerto Rico. Most likely, most of the crew came from the States. But if you're a PA, which is what I did in my first film, I was a PA on this production that came from the States. You learn to meet, and you meet all these other people where they will call you and continue to go to the next project and the next project, and that's kind of how I did it.
Yeah, that's kind of, there's a few things there with your experience doing events, trying to let, obviously, any of the connections that you make in terms of people that are doing films around you, letting them know what you can do in terms of events. But yeah, getting in as a PA, I feel like letting any production know like what your skills are in terms of event production may actually open some doors for you that you didn't know were going to get opened because you didn't say anything, but all of a sudden, oh, actually this guy knows the people who know how to run this venue, and running venue, film production is event production. It's just with cameras and a script. It's the same thing. We just have a script and a camera, and we kind of organize it in terms of that, but it's the same thing. We have to get all these bodies down there. We have to get bodies in bathrooms and fed and bathroom breaks and, those kinds of things. And where does everyone go to do this? And okay, we're shooting in that area. What are the safety concerns? All of that. It's basically the same thing in terms of production. So if you want to go from event production to production, definitely look into like PAing in the office, production coordinating. You're going to be a PA before you'll be a coordinator, but who knows, depending on the project, if you know enough of how to go out and get things. It's basically what production is not being afraid to go out and getting those things. And
then that goes not only for Puerto Rico, but also for wherever everybody is. The film commission is a good place to contact. Like, definitely know the commissioner, know the film commissioner. See if he can get, if he can jump there and make some contacts there. If they're nice, they should be able to help you out. Like some of the Fort Lauderdale and the Miami commissioners, I know, film commissioners, I know both of them, and they're very helpful and everything. So they'll put you in where you need to, email somebody or call somebody, and they'll help you. Try, at least you have to make the effort of calling and making sure that they hear for who you are, but they will help, and it's a good resource.
Yeah. Persistence without being scary is kind kind of
Yeah.
like the general rule.
Recently connected with the Puerto Rico Film Fest. So I connected with the producer of that event and the coordinators. So I'm on my way. I'm on my
Alright.
way.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we'll be
And
fine.
if you guys ever do a movie here and need a PA, here I am.
We'll let you know. Like I said, hopefully next year. That's the goal. I'm trying.
Daniel, I actually want to say something really fast. You remind me of, and I know we're running out of time, and we'll get these answered on camera for everybody who has to leave and all of that. But Daniel has energy of somebody that we hired in. I was working at a company in San Diego just now recently, and I was building out a team in San Diego. Not as many people in San Diego. You would think there might be because it's so close to LA. No, everyone leaves to LA. So really, it's very thin in San Diego, trying to get like the best people. All the best people are 2 hours away. So trying to start to build a crew from there from scratch was, it was new. And I found somebody who was new to the industry. He just wants it so badly. And he's always been so nice and pleasant. And he's the first call that everybody makes. And you kind of remind me of that energy, Daniel, is like, you're always there. You're always accepting of it. You're ready to go. Here we go. That's kind of the first piece of like advice that I'd give him in terms of like energy, of like the attitude that I look for. It's always that, like, they're going to want to do it. They want to be here. They're not like just doing it to pay bills. They want to be here. So
yeah. All right. So there were a couple of questions where you can answer pretty quick. How do you wake up and master the craft? Alex, I mean, it's just, yeah. Well, the acting. I mean, I'll quickly say, in terms of writing and even producing, it's like you read, you pay attention. For writing, you do it, and I keep writing, and even if it's terrible, I go back and rewrite it. So it's just, for me, it's practice and knowledge. So
yeah. I think that's kind of it. Acting is a little tough because you need to act with people. I took a long break from it to do production work, and I've started getting back into it and have been discovering the new way to be an actor in 2022 and doing Zoom auditions, and it's a whole new ball of wax. What I did find, jury, if you're still here or listening, what I did find is that, oh no, this is for Alex. It's for Alex. Is there are people who are doing classes online on Zoom where you are actually acting. And I did a class recently where I was just to kind of, we call it going to the gym. You got to get into the gym. Your acting brain will atrophy if you don't flex it. You need to work that muscle and get into it. So I went to the gym, I went to a class, and I started doing some rehearsals with somebody on camera just like this, and it was fine. We were listening to each other. We were working off of our timing, figuring out the beats. It's not necessarily the same as when you're on your feet acting with somebody, but film also is just this most of the time. It's rare when you're running and acting in a movie to begin with. And if you need to do that, you rehearse that, you'll be fine. But for the most part, the meat of it is, talking to somebody and listening and learning how to listen and have a conversation and react. So I would suggest finding an acting class. I've actually found some and know of some that are still doing online only classes, because they were trying to keep their business afloat during COVID, and they figured out that they could actually do it this way and get students from out of town. So there are a lot of online acting classes. I would suggest doing them. Read and study. What I do, I didn't go to film school, and I wanted to learn the new things. I call it YouTube University. I subscribe to the best BTS, behind the scenes people that I like. I follow a group called Corridor Crew. They're the CGI guys. They kind of break down all the new CGI stuff that's happening and really make sense of it for me. So I know how to talk to that, how to build a project around certain effects that are coming down the pipeline, trying to stay fresh with it. So that's there's that. Studio Binder is a great YouTube channel. They are they're like a software company that makes production software, and their YouTube channel, ooh, it is chef's kiss. It is so good. It is the best film school that you'll never have to pay for. And they break down writing, they break down lighting, they break down lens choices, they break all kinds of things for the industry. It's a filmmaker's dream over there. So
and
yeah,
that's the thing, because when I started, we were working on film, on actual film. So
Yeah.
I had a little splicer. I had to cut the actual film. So that's all gone. So I still had to learn from. I went from splicing to Avid to Final Cut to Premiere. I've learned. Throughout the years, you keep learning in terms of the editing, and the writing is the same. It went from screenwriting to final draft, and then they keep adding stuff. And so. And storytelling, everything evolves. So yeah, I mean, and Studio Binder, actually, Corridor guys, I subscribe to them. They're fantastic.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
Yeah. And then really quick, the last question. I think Camilo, we answered a little bit in some of the stuff we were talking about. But if you have any other questions, you can discuss as far as starting in the production side. So
I would also jump on that really fast. Is let people know where you're coming from, because your skills will be interesting to people, or like beneficial, where you wouldn't know how it fits necessarily in that position, role, situation that you're in, but a door will get open. They're like, oh, you're a communication expert, okay, come here, let get in the office over here. So just communicate with your comms background.
Yeah, eventually you find the what you're trying to look, and all of a sudden it just lands on you, and you'll know, this is what I want to do. So
really fast story before Paloma. Does everyone have to go? We got to cut it short, Hernan?
No. I got 2 more minutes.
I knew a guy who he made all of his money owning a bunch of Domino's pizzas, like 18 stores throughout like the Pacific West or something like that. Became a rich ski bum and got bored and wanted to start making movies. So he drove and got a PA job in his like 30s. And granted, he didn't do any communicating, but he did, because he drove to his PA job in his Mercedes Benz. And the producer said, why the hell are you driving a Mercedes Benz and you're my PA? And he told him, well, I owned all of these Domino's. He said, get out of there, get in the office. And he became a producer pretty much like, right away. So that's kind of the thing of like, bring your experience to it. You never know. And then I think Paloma was asking about the job stuff. I think I said that I fell to my knees, I think, at one point. Where was I when I got the initial job for the acting thing, or how did I react? It's, if it's something you really love and you've been thinking about doing for your whole life, clearly you're gonna have an amazing reaction to it. But I would say, just when it comes to that stuff, I think going back to the rejection thing, you don't know when you're going to book it. You could dream about it, and you got to put, a carrot in front of you, a goal that you got to aim for, but also know you can't hold on to that, with all of your marbles. That rejection will tear you down every time. And you won't know that if you start getting upset about that, you could have been open for something else that was bigger or a different path completely. So
yeah. And you got to, and also, with the rejection, I mean, it took Martin Scorsese 20 plus years to do Gangs of New York. And that's Martin Scorsese, because they kept saying, no. So yeah, it's like, you never know with that. In terms of my reaction, unfortunately, I didn't have time to have one. Like, I was told, we want you on The Punisher. And the first thing was like, oh shit, where am I gonna live? Because I lived in Orlando. I'm like, I don't want to drive every day. So my first hour after I got the job was trying to call around, see where I would stay in Tampa. So those 3 months. So I didn't really have that moment until the first day I arrived there. And even then, like the first day I arrived, I almost lost the job that same day. because I was there to play the dailies, and then they moved them to a movie theater next door, and I was like, well, there goes my job. But the editors liked me so much because I was so friendly with them, and I just kind of connected with them that they say, just hide in the office, and for a couple of days we'll let you do a few things because you know how to do all this stuff. And in a couple of days we'll go up and say, no, we need him. He's been our apprentice editor. And that's how I stayed. I could have probably gone home after day one. So so again, it comes to the, you gotta just put your best personality out there with whoever you meet in this industry.
Yeah, we covered everybody. Excellent. So 2 more people that I want you to meet. I actually want you to meet our head of marketing for Apprentice Worldwide. She's also a superstar working in a company, and she does a lot of production for her own company. Stephanie, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. So it's been a pleasure to meet you both, Alan and Javier. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Definitely, my passion has always been film. I'm usually the person doing the marketing, creating the low budget, films to market our stories. So there's definitely a power in our stories and just sharing it and changing the industry. Even what we see today, back in the 90s, for example, we don't see many diversity, and that's even evolving itself. So, and I'm glad you mentioned BuzzFeed as well, because I used to look at them a lot all the time, and just seeing how a lot of the beginning personas then changed onto branching out on their own. So definitely, thank you so much for sharing.
Of course.
By the way, and it's funny because obviously we talk about the business behind it. So financing is important, but also you don't understand how many people are used in major corporations to do production work, not only the commercials, but also anything that has to do with flyers, anything that has to do with branding. Whenever you get a film crew involved, you get a lot better product than what you get normally with just a plain marketing or graphic design. Whenever you get a whole creative team behind it, it's just amazing. And I know, Stephanie, you do a lot of great creative stuff, but you're also filming. It's like producing your own little, film here.
That was my experience at ClickUp completely, because ClickUp is a software company. They hired me to be their in-house producer, to build their in-house production team, to do all of their marketing and commercial, their commercial videos and any of their marketing materials. Basically anything that had video was going through us, including the motion graphics guys. They were there before us, but they were the only people there, and then they brought us in to bring in the film production, but everything. And so you understand what I learned over the last few years, which is learn to make the biggest things that I can make if I have the money, and that's what the company wants to finance at that moment, or learn how to make UGC phone content from somebody talking about the product, and how do you make that fun for yourself too, without it just being a job. How do you make that grab people, like you're saying, how move them enough to say, oh, what is that, stop for a second. So there's always creative work and involved with it, whether you have all the toys or not.
Excellent. So as Apprentice Worldwide, we're growing around the world with people, and I showed you Ibrahima is in Ghana, and I know the film industry in Africa is huge, particularly Nigeria is one of the largest countries in the world, right? And Africa. How can we, are you guys doing everything? I know in the big budget productions, they're always looking at international markets to expand new avenues. How are you guys looking at international markets to expand your craft?
So for us specifically to expand the craft, I think, when it comes to different markets, the world is your oyster. It's so big. So it just depends on, for me, the way I look at it is, if my story lands in that part of the world, I want to figure out if I need to produce something over there, there's that as well. Actually, that was something for Daniel that I was thinking about as well. Finding fixers are, producers in different parts of the world that can get you all the things that your production needs. So for instance, if I needed to go shoot something in a remote city and I don't have, all I have is my director and my cameraman, and that's it. I don't have a sound person, I don't have locations or where are we staying, that kind of thing. I'll find a fixer, and that's a producer in that city that will help you connect with the beginning connections for starting a production, overseas. There's that. So that's that. I think when it comes to, working overseas, it's a matter of the stories and the scenes, and if they take place there or not, if they're completely over there or if they're completely here. For me, it's that's where the overlap kicks in. But you got to always be open for the world, because these streamers just made it open for you to make money all over the world and tell stories for people, in every corner of the world. So going off of what you were talking about, Stephanie, in terms of diversity and BuzzFeed, that was kind of a big thing of learning, was seeing what they were attempting to doing was they saw there were pockets of people that weren't being represented, or even on the internet, not just movies, but like, oh, there's a whole page of content for, Indian American women, from India, who their roots are from there. And it was like, and she made a whole, what's her name? Swasti. She is one of the big, she's huge on there. And I remember when she was just a junior producer there, but they were thinking like, oh, this is clearly a niche, and that's a niche. And there are all of these niches all over the place that have not saw all this opportunity to make content and money, which is what it was, in the end, of like, make money selling to videos to people that don't have the content before now, that it didn't really exist in abundance like that. So I don't know if that answers it. That's kind of
Alan, well, 2 minutes, but I wanted to ask you real quick, any final thoughts, any advice that you give everybody here starting in their career? And number one, number two, before we close, because after you guys are done, I'm going to close. Just know I just sent you the link for the global industry group for film and entertainment on LinkedIn for Apprentice Worldwide. Jury, you're not a member, but if you want to become a member, we can talk about it. Okay. We do this. So the beauty about all this is that these are your mentors. Okay. So these people are not going anywhere. These are not just giving a speech and going. Javier has been a mentor for Apprentice from the very beginning, since I pulled them into an event in Miami Beach, right, in 2016. And Alan has been gone to some of my New York events as well when he lived in New York. And we kind of cross paths there. So these people are not going anywhere, right? It's not, so the conversation will continue. It's just we have some commitments. But any final words or advice, Javier, Alan, before we close?
Well, I think for me, I think I've mentioned it before. Just if you really love this is what you want to do. Don't give up on it. And because we talked about rejection. There is going to be rejection. There's going to be hard times. But if you work hard, if you have a good attitude towards it, I think in the end, those rewards are going to come. And it's just a matter. I've gone through hell and back. There are projects that I've been working on for 20 years, and I never stop. But I find these other projects that I'm like, okay, I can make this, right now. So you gotta find. Don't beat yourself down. I said I have this one project I can't get off the ground. Then okay, then do another project and then revisit this one. Find something that you can shoot at a lower budget or over a weekend or short or something. And don't give up. Just don't give up, because it's hard, but it's I've been sitting every time I sit in a movie theater to watch one of my films or shows in a crowded room of people. It's the best feeling in the world. Best feeling in the world.
Absolutely. That was great. I agree on all of that. My approach to things is just like what I was mentioning before, is like being a good person to your crew, to the people that you're trying to make a project with, if it's their money. Just being honest and owning all of that stuff really is just kind of the reliability that people with a lot of money need to feel when they're trusting somebody to make a project for them, you know. And you know, your crew will fight for you. They will work late nights for you if you look out for them and you treat them good. Be smart, you know, really pay attention, like, you know, learn like what we were talking about, really start learning the new things coming down the pipeline in the industry, learn your surroundings, learn the people that you want to meet eventually, you know, kind of vision board that stuff, really be smart about the industry, learn it, find everything that you can online. And then being inspired is a really big thing with this. If you're not inspired, you're not going to inspire somebody to hand you money. You're not going to inspire anyone to watch the thing you're making. No one, hi Prima. No one's going to, you know, being inspired by that, finding some sort of that piece of art that gets you smiling and won't shut you up in a room full of people that want to know what this project is that you're working on. Why are you this way? You know, all of that. That's the point of this. And I'm telling you, that energy opens way more doors than somebody who is, you know, trying to do it on their own and not talking to anybody and being a hermit. That's not the way to be. You can only do this with a team of people. You can't do it by yourself. So trying to bring everybody into that feeling that you have for this project and making them a part of it, that's the way to do it. And that's
Listen,
what
you
I'd
said
say.
the key word that I love is team, right? Team together, everybody. Everybody, what is it? Together, everybody.
Always what? I don't know what AM. What is yours?
Together, everyone accomplishes more. That's what
There
I
it is.
remember it been. Guys, anything you want to plug? Prima wanted to say hi as well.
Say hi.
My brother. This is our family, by the way. So you know you're in the right place whenever we're together. But Javier, Alan, what do you want to promote? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to watch a romantic comedy, Love and Hostages, it's available on Amazon Prime, and Tubi and Pluto TV with free with ads if you want to watch it that way. Hialeah series, it's on YouTube. It's a 6-part web series, and unfortunately, I Possessed, which is a horror psychological thriller. It's in the last stages of post-production, so that will come out next year.
Nice. Guys, I've been working on commercials. You could see the Super Bowl commercial in the link there. Go watch Gilmore Girls, get me some residual money. That'll be just fine. I'll let you guys know when a new big project's coming down the pipeline. Right now I'm working on a commercial with a company that I met in San Diego while I was down there. I am post-production producing for that project. So I've gotten into some post and visual effects producing myself now because I started learning all those things. So that's where I'm at now. But
awesome.
Have a
All
great
right.
day.
Well, listen, Apprentice Worldwide. This is being recorded. I'll share it with you guys. I already sent the link. I cannot share what the link is to everybody that's watching this, but the private link to our Global Industry Group chat on LinkedIn, so everybody can plug in with each other, you know, spend some time together. And also, we have 2 events. Stephanie, you want to share about Wednesday's event?
So Wednesday, we have our horror stories executive panel. We're going to have in person in Miami, and also fundraisings for that will help for our breast cancer awareness supports that we'll be doing too.
It will also be simulcast. I don't know how, but I think it's Facebook Live or YouTube Live, but you guys can see it as well. And then next Monday, we have the Global Industry Group FinTech panel. So anybody that's in FinTech, sure, it's going to be a similar thing. People that are making money, handling money. And we do this, you know, with 15 different industries. We have the entrepreneur group that Ibrahim is helping with. Stephanie, who's in charge of the marketing. Nalisa working hard. Daniel, I don't know what he's doing, but he needs to shave. That's the only thing that I know. Guys, I love you. Te quiero. Me quedo corto.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Everybody. Thanks, Javier.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.